Hi, I'm Heather, and this is my daughter Ava. I'm making this video to tell you about a life-threatening condition that Ava has called hydrocephalus. I know you're probably looking at Ava thinking she looks like every other baby you see. You're maybe thinking she's exceptionally charming and cute, like I think. But it's what you don't see that I want to talk about today. Something lurking deep in her brain that threatens her life every single day. Here you go. Ava was born 2 months early because of some intestinal problems. They were serious, but she made it through surgery, and we felt excited that she had a really bright future. But while she was recovering from her abdominal surgery, doctors discovered that in her 3rd week of life, her head had grown too much in 1 week. They diagnosed her with hydrocephalus. And like I had no idea what they were talking about. I had never heard of this. All we knew is that it was very serious. The doctors and nurses and social workers did not seem very optimistic. We were told that Ava could have lots of developmental problems, need a ton of special therapy, and the bright future that we had seen just a week previously suddenly didn't seem so bright, and our optimism dimmed. So let me tell you a little bit about hydrocephalus, since you probably have no idea what it is. It's commonly called water on the brain, and the so-called water is cerebral spinal fluid, or CSF. CSF is in constant production and absorption and is perfectly balanced in our bodies. But people with hydrocephalus don't have the ability to balance or absorb CSF. So it just continues to build in their brain, causing pressure on their brains and neurological problems. The cause of hydrocephalus is not always known. Doctors don't know why Ava has it, and it can occur for no reason. Give her a snack so she won't be so chatty. Here, baby girl. But left untreated, hydrocephalus can cause permanent brain damage, disability, coma, and death. We were scared, and we were not getting very much information. Friends and family did not know what hydrocephalus was, so we stopped telling people. So you probably think hydrocephalus is rare. But what if I tell you it's more common than many of the birth defects and conditions that you've heard about? More common than Down syndrome, muscular dystrophy, and spina bifida. Hydrocephalus is one of the most common birth defects, affecting 1 in 500. And it not only affects infants and children. Senior citizens can be affected. Often, they're thought to have Alzheimer's or Parkinson's, but it's estimated that 10% of the senior citizens, the 7.5 million Americans with Alzheimer's, actually have hydrocephalus. It's 1 in 200 over the age of 55. And accident victims can also develop hydrocephalus. A brain injury occurs in the U.S. every 15 seconds. So hydrocephalus is relevant now more than it ever was. We've seen an increase of up to 30% in premature babies over the last 25 years, and an increase of up to 60% in multiples, so twins, triplets, etc. And we know that premature babies are more likely to develop life-threatening conditions when they're born that could lead to something like hydrocephalus. We also have a rapidly aging population here in the U.S. By 2030, it's estimated that the senior citizen population will double to 70 million. That's 1 in 5 Americans. And with 1 in 200 of them having hydrocephalus, that's going to be a lot of people. The developmental outcomes, especially for infants that have hydrocephalus, are not good. Mental retardation and cerebral palsy are common outcomes. Half of those with hydrocephalus score less than 80 on IQ tests. Only half are in mainstream schools, and 60% are not independent in adulthood. So we have treatments, but we don't have cures. You're probably wondering how Ava's here today, appearing so normal and dumping her food all out like any other baby would do. It's because she has something called a shunt in her brain. And I don't think you can see. If I can get the food over here, maybe I can make her look. Look over here. Right here, there's a tiny little lump, and that's the valve of her shunt. And there's tubing, very thin, flexible tubing that continues down into her stomach. This shunt serves to act as a regulator for her cerebral spinal fluid, making sure that too much doesn't build up in her brain. So it's constantly circulating it through her body into her abdomen where the body just naturally releases it. Shunts were developed in 1950, and since then there's been no significant improvement in hydrocephalus treatment. That's over 60 years. Shunts fail a lot. They're one of the most unreliable medical devices. The average is 11 shunt revisions or brain surgeries in 20 years. That's a brain surgery every 2 years. There are people who've had as many as 80 surgeries in 10 years. And I've even heard of one who's had 70 surgeries in a year, never leaving the hospital. And sure, there are some people who are lucky, whose shunts last 10 to 20 years. There's just no rhyme or reason to it. Some people get lucky and some don't. There's a hydrocephalus operation every 15 minutes. That means there are medical costs associated with those of almost $2 billion a year. You'd think there'd be lots of research money funding a cure for hydrocephalus, but in fact there's not. The government funds about $1 million a year. That's it for a $2 billion problem. So our goal is to raise awareness and raise private money for hydrocephalus research. The good news is that hydrocephalus is a disease that appears to be intrinsically preventable or reversible. The potential for improved treatment is enormous. Unlike other neurological disorders, the brain of most hydrocephalus patients is normal before they get hydrocephalus. So quickly, I'd like to tell you a little bit about Ava's outcomes so far. She's 8 months old and exceeding all of her doctor's expectations. We're very grateful not only to Chalk Hospital, where she was born, Children's Hospital of Orange County, but also to UCP, United Cerebral Palsy. I take her there once a week for therapy. So far, there's been no cerebral palsy noticed yet, and she's sitting up, laughing, talking, playing with toys, eating table food, doing everything a regular baby would do. Cognitively, she's on the ball. She's getting great results and surpassing all the expected milestones for her age. But she will always have a shunt, unless I have something to say about it. And I hope you'll help me with that. Right now, we appreciate every day and try to forget for a little while. But if you want to learn more and do something to help, please go to, here's a couple websites you can go to for more information. The first is the National Hydrocephalus Foundation, www.nhfonline.org. The second is the Hydrocephalus Association, and it's www.hydroasos.org. And the third is the Hydrocephalus Research Network, www.hcrn.org. And you can always contact me, Heather Kluter, at hkkluter@yahoo.com. Thanks so much for watching this video, and we hope to hear from you.